Hiya, welcome back to my channel. My name is Chef Zoe and today we're kicking off our basic cooking techniques series. To start off this series, we're going to start with the first topic, which is sautéing. What is sautéing? Sautéing, the word sauté, is a French word that means jump or toss around, which refers to the style of cooking. When you're sautéing, you have your food in the pan and you toss it around. So it's safe to say that the definition of sautéing is cooking of produce in a pan, usually a shallow pan that has a lot of space, with little oil and medium to high heat. This method of cooking only applies to small cuts of produce or small cuts of, protein. For example, tender vegetables. You can't really cook hard vegetables this way except you take it through some method and finish it up in a sauté pan. But sautéing is just basically small amount of fat, oil, butter, whatever you're using, whatever medium you're using. And also you have your food cut down into bite size, about a centimeter, an inch, not a centimeter, about an inch thick. That's different kind of foods you can cook this way. For example, while you can cook a beef tenderloin in a sauté pan, you cannot cook a roast in a sauté pan. Why? Because a roast cut is bigger, tougher, and needs a longer time to cook through. While you can roast a whole chicken, you cannot sauté a whole chicken. You can definitely sauté chicken breast in the same size or cut it into smaller bits that make it easier to cook. The most important tips you need to know while you're sautéing is: 1, make sure your pan is hot. 2, make sure that you have your food cut down into equal sizes so that it cooks uniformly. 3, make sure you have small amount of fat because you just want to brown the surface area. Sauté changes the flavor of food without necessarily changing the texture. So you have a food that is just still crunchy but has that crispy bite to it. Today I'm going to be showing you how to sauté with a very simple example. Everybody loves sauté potatoes, and I'm going to show you my foolproof way to have fluffy but crispy sautéed potatoes. Like I said earlier, you can only use small cuts and tender vegetables, tender protein when you want to sauté. And today we're going to be sautéing some potatoes. These look like a huge cut and obviously it's not tender. So we're going to go through some process to get it ready for it to be sautéed. First things first, this has been washed and cleaned. I personally love to have my potatoes with this on. And when it's cooked properly, it's pretty crispy and has a nice bite to it. So we're going to be cooking these potatoes, and before we start, we're just going to cut them into the appropriate sizes. So right now we're going to cut these potatoes into quarters, about an inch thick. It's always good to go for nice sized potatoes if you can get them. I'm cutting it with the skin on. As I'm demonstrating further, I'm going to show you the tips that you need to make sure you always have a nice crispy sautéed potatoes. And this cooking method can work for carrots, it can work for asparagus, it can work for broccoli, it can work for tender veggies that don't need a long cook time. Now we have our potatoes chopped. We're just going to put it in the pot with a little bit of water, a little bit of salt, heat it up for about 5 minutes to allow the potatoes cook through a little bit, and then we finish it up in a sauté pan. So add some water to our pan, some salt, and we're going to add our potatoes. We're not trying to cook it through, it's going to finish cooking up in our sauté pan. So for our sauté potato, we're going to use some oil. I'm using canola oil. Always make sure you use the oil that has a high smoking pot. Peanut oil, groundnut oil, canola oil, even butter works, but the thing about butter is if you don't monitor it, it can burn. So it would just be safer to use oil and then toss in your butter later, which is what this method I'm going to use here. I'm going to toss in some garlic just to make it like some garlic. I love garlic, so these sautéed potatoes are going to have hints of garlic. Have your fresh herbs. Here I have some fresh parsley, some salt, your black pepper, I'm making a small batch right now. If you want to make this for a dinner party of more than 1 or 2 people, you're going to have to make this in batches. You cook it together and then saute in batches. The most important thing in sauteing is to not overcrowd your pan. And we're going to check on our potatoes now, and if it's ready, we're good to go. Our potatoes have been cooking for about 5 minutes. We're going to finish cooking this in our pan. So now we have our pan. I have a cast iron pan on fire. And what we're going to do is going to take our oil. We don't need a lot. About a tablespoon is going to do. So we're just going to put a little bit of oil here. I think that's good enough. And we're just going to toss in our potatoes into the pan. Try not to crowd your pan. Another important tip when you're sauteing is to make sure that your pans and your ingredients are not close together. If they're close together, it would start to steam rather than saute. Use a spatula or whatever you have to make sure you keep turning it around so that it cooks evenly. Always important for you to use a dense bottom pan so that the heat is conducted evenly, because sauteing is a form of dry heat cooking, and it cooks by conduction between the pan and the food, because we are not actually cooking it in any liquids or whatsoever. So just make sure you keep tossing and turning so that it cooks evenly. Now I'm going to turn off my heat, and while it's still in the pan, we're going to add our garlic, some butter, and then we're going to add some fresh parsley, and we're going to stir that all together, and we have ourselves an amazing garlic buttered sauteed potatoes. And we're just going to serve this up and round up our video. So now we have our crispy skin on sauteed potatoes. I hope you've been able to learn how to saute and apply this whole information that I just bombarded you with. Apply it to your vegetables, your small cuts of beef, whatever you want to saute. So now you're on your way to preparing your own recipes. So if you want to create a saute carrot with this recipe, is all new right now, because I've taught you all you need to know on how to saute. You can skip adding the extra butter if you're worried about the calories, but butter and sauteed potatoes, they just go together. They're like 5 and 6. Now we're going to give this a taste test. The skin is crispy, potato is cooked through. It's honestly such an amazing experience. If you're to break apart. So thank you for watching this video, and next week we're going to be talking on boiling. If you have any questions for me, please drop it in the comment below. And if you haven't subscribed, please press the like button, subscribe, click on the notification bell so that you do not miss out on any more educative videos, because right now it's not just about throwing out recipes for you. There is making sure that every single one of you here are the best cooks you can ever be. Thank you for watching. Until next time, peace.